Season 2, Episode 1, The Architecture of Obedience, Intro, Shadow Practice. Welcome to Season 2 of your Shadow Practice session. Today, we enter the laboratory. We look into the mirror of human nature. Focus on the sh and ch sounds. Watch your inflection. Master the English of the mind. Let's begin. The script. If I gave you a uniform, a whistle, and a nightstick, would you change? If I gave you a number, a cell, and a chain, would you break? Most of us believe we are good people. We believe we have a moral compass. We believe that in a crisis, we would do the right thing. But in 1971, a psychologist named Philip Zimbardo decided to test that delusion. He wanted to know: is evil inside the person? Or is evil inside the system? This is the story of the Stanford prison experiment. A 6-day descent into madness that proved the architecture of obedience is stronger than the human will. Zimbardo didn't look for criminals. He looked for normalcy. He recruited 24 healthy, middle-class, intelligent college students. He flipped a coin. Heads, you are a guard. Tails, you are a prisoner. There was no training. There was no history. Just a role. But to make the role feel real, he used dehumanization. The prisoners were arrested at their homes by real police. They were strip-searched. They were given smocks with no underwear. They were given a chain around their ankle. And most importantly, they lost their names. They were now just a number. The guards were given khaki uniforms, silver sunglasses to hide their eyes, and total authority. Zimbardo told them, you cannot physically hit them, but you can create a feeling of boredom, a sense of fear, and a notion of arbitrary power. What happened next wasn't science. It was a tragedy. On day 1, everyone was awkward. It felt like a game. But on day 2, a rebellion broke out. The prisoners barricaded their cells. They mocked the guards. The guards didn't call a meeting. They called for a force. They used fire extinguishers to blast the prisoners. They stripped them naked. They took away their beds. They created a privileged cell. They gave a good food to the prisoners who didn't rebel, to create a distrust among the group. They were using the standard operating procedure of dictatorships before the first 48 hours were over. The transformation was total. The guards began to invent creative punishments. They made prisoners clean toilets with their bare hands. They made them do push-ups while a guard stepped on their back. They forced them to stay awake for hours. The prisoners began to internalize the role. They didn't act like students in a study. They acted like inmates in a cage. They suffered from emotional breakdowns, acute stress, passive resignation. One prisoner had to be released because he began to scream uncontrollably. But the others stayed. Why? Because the system told them they all belonged there. The audit of this experiment is chilling. Even Philip Zimbardo himself lost his objective mind. He stopped acting like a scientist. He started acting like a prison superintendent. When a rumor spread that there was an escape plan, he didn't record the data. He got angry. He tried to call the real police to move the study to a real jail. He was consumed by his own fiction. It took an outsider, a graduate student named Christina Maslach, to look into the basement and say, what you are doing to these boys is a crime. She was the only person to question the morality of the system. Zimbardo ended the experiment on day 6. It was supposed to last 2 weeks. What did we learn from the ruins of the Stanford prison? We learned about the Lucifer effect. The idea that good people can be seduced by a position of power. When you give someone a title and a uniform, you remove their individual responsibility. They no longer say, I am doing this. They say, the system requires this. We learned about de-individuation. When you take away a person's name, you take away their empathy. It is easier to oppress a number than it is to oppress a human. Look at the world today. Look at the internet. Look at social media. We are all behind sunglasses. We are all anonymous. We are all assigned to teams. Guards and prisoners. Left and right. Us and I them. The architecture of obedience has moved from the basement to the smartphone. We follow the rules of the algorithm without questioning who wrote the code. We punish those who don't follow the group with digital exile. We are normal people performing cruelty because the platform encourages it. Zimbardo showed us that the line between good and evil is not fixed. It is permeable. It is fluid. Anyone can cross it if the conditions are right. The prison wasn't made of stone and iron. It was made of expectations. It was made of silence. And it was made of the refusal to say no. The experiment is over. The cells are empty. And the students went back to their lives. But the uniform is still hanging in the closet. And the whistle is still waiting for a lip. Stay sharp. The role is a mask. But the face underneath is your own. Don't let the system write your script. The laboratory is dark. The data is recorded. But the behavior is still repeating.